Hey all, this is a basic overview of Toneflow, and today I'm going to talk about navigation and a little bit of basic music making. So before I get into it, a couple quick notes. Toneflow is designed to be played using a computer keyboard, the QWERTY, and so some features will work on mobile, but not all of them. I built it on a Windows machine in Google Chrome browser, and so that's where the performance is going to be best. And also it's a work in progress, so I'm very open to any suggestions, comments, critique, whatever sort of feedback you might have. So the first thing to notice is that we have an info box over on this side, and so there's information, just basic stuff about the app. There's a guidebook, and there's a list of shortcuts. And you can get this off the screen if you don't want to have it in the way by clicking that there. And if you want to show it again, right above show info and hide info. So at the very top of the screen, here's our browser ribbon, which shows the website we're at. And then this ribbon right here is global controls. So this includes the name of the composition, hasn't been named yet. And then also there's features for saving and loading the compositions you make. Underneath that, this next ribbon is the play feature, and then here are tabs similar to what you might find in a browser for the different scenes, musical arrangements that you can make. And we'll talk more about that later. This area right here is called the dashboard, and right in the middle is the piano selector. And again, that's an area we'll discuss in more depth in a later tutorial. Here is the tracks region where you can build the looping tracks that make up the musicality of the app. And then also this section here is the QWERTY player, which registers keystrokes as you play them and also can be used to play the app with your computer keyboard like a piano. So also just to note that you can focus, there's all these different inputs all over the screen which adjust various parameters. So for example, right now I'm up here at beats per minute, and if you focus that, you can then adjust it with the arrow keys or type in a value, and you can use tab or shift tab to change which area you're in. So now you can see that the little highlighting is changed when you use tab or shift tab. And then you can use Control Z to get back to your QWERTY player. And so you navigate between these areas using Control Z, which I just did, highlighting the QWERTY player. Control A will focus the tracks, and Control Q will focus the piano selector. I'm using focus or highlight interchangeably here, but it just means which area is responsive to the input from your keyboard. So let's focus the QWERTY player using Shift Z, and when you're down here, you can just play your app like a piano. So there's a note, there's another note, and depending on what instrument you have selected, over here, this controls the instruments and different kinds of sounds you can get. Most of those instruments can play polyphonically, so that's how you do that. Then if you do Shift A, that takes you up to the tracks region here. Like with the QWERTY player, you can change the sound that you're using. When you're in this area and you play a note on your computer keyboard, it'll add notes to the track. So let's add a C and a D and an E, and then you can use the space bar to make a rest. So now that you've done that, you can play what you've just made by going up here to play. And when you're done, you can pause. You can also use the escape key for that feature. And you see this little white box that moves along as each note plays. That can be set back to 0 if you want by using reset scene. And Shift R will also accomplish that. So you can delete notes from the track if you use the delete key. That's different from the backspace key. The backspace key will give you a G sharp. So you can delete that with the delete key and then put a rest again using the space bar. And then you can move your cursor around with the arrow keys left and right like that. And so let's say we want that note to be a G instead of an E. We just press that key, and so now that's the note. And so we can set this playing and then play along with the melody we've just made with the QWERTY player. So I'll press escape to get it going, and then I'll use Shift Z to go down to the QWERTY player and then play along with it. So there you go. That's the basics of how to use Toneflow. Thanks so much for taking an interest. If you, again, like I said at the beginning, if you have any questions, comments of any sort, I would really value that. If you're interested in supporting my work, over here in the info box under About is a link to my Patreon site. Patrons are welcome. And you can get a hold of me with info here. So thanks very much, and more of these will be coming out soon about all the different features of the app. So best wishes.